Hugh Daniel from Wolverhampton Music Service, and in this video I'll be showing you some ways to help get those first notes in the high register. Now you're ready, I hope, got very confident in your low notes and got a good sound with your low notes, and now it's time to tackle those high notes. And the first thing to remember is that all high notes are played by using the thumb key. So you've got to get your thumb in position so that you're covering the thumb hole and in a position to just touch and press the thumb key at the same time. So you don't want to move your thumb very much at all, just a very small movement in order to press the thumb key. Now, one of the best ways of starting your high notes is to get a good, firm and loud low note to begin with, and some of the best notes to choose for this to get a high note later would be low G, which is 3 fingers in the left hand, 3 fingers in the right hand, and your thumb. So a nice loud low G, and then almost straight away add the thumb key and then play the same note, but a bit, obviously, should be higher. So low G, add the thumb key, and that takes us to high D. And then we can try that with some other notes in the low register, starting with A, only now 2 fingers in the right hand, plus your left hand. And B flat in your 1 finger in the right hand. So low B flat going to high F or F natural. And let's see if we can also get the next note, which is quite tricky, but it's C in the left hand, low C, going to high G, once you've added your thumb key. Now with all those notes, I was taking a separate breath and tonguing separate for each note as I played it. So now let's try it, joining those notes together, the low note to the high note. So in one breath, start with low G and add the thumb key, and we should end up with a high D. It can be easier sometimes to start that way, to try slurring from low note to high note. So it's up to you. You could try both ways, separate notes with separate breaths and tonguing, or joining them up in one breath. Now it can be, you find it easier to start with a low note and slur up to the high note as a way of first playing your high notes. So you can try it, it's up to you, try it either way. So you can either tongue the notes separately, low and then high, or start with your low note and slur up to the high note. And that can be done with all those 4 notes I showed you earlier. G to D, A to E, B flat to F, and C to G. Now once you have got a confident sounding high note, then we can slur straight onto some of the other high notes. So again, let's start with G up to D, and then slur a bit higher within the high notes. So there I've gone right up to high G straight away. And it's always important, of course, to try doing the opposite, or adding on the opposite, so we're coming downwards as well. So then we've gone from D up to G, high G, and then back down to D again in the high register. Now if we want to go higher than that top G, so when it starts getting particularly tricky, we have to make sure we've got a very firm grip with your mouth, or embouchure, as we call the shape of your mouth around the mouthpiece. So a firm grip and blow firmly. Imagine you're playing louder as you get higher. Notice there, I still started with a low note to slur up to that G and then get up to the top C. Don't worry if those top notes don't come out straight away. They are tricky at first, but it will come with practice. Now we can play part of a scale if we just add one more note at the bottom end of the high register. So you've already learnt D, and add now your right hand little finger on the top far key, and that will give us C, and then we can go right up to top C as well. If we play that as a low note, of course, it will be low F. So let's begin with a low F and then go slow up to the C above it. And that gives us part of the scale of C major, or one octave of C major. You might find it difficult to breathe and then start on that top C. So if you want to play your C major scale up and down, then try as much of it in one breath as possible. So take a really deep breath. Of course, you can breathe at any time in those notes, but the hardest one will be after that very top note. So, good luck with that. Don't worry if the notes don't come out straight away. It's all about practice and keep at it. Don't forget to look out for further video releases from the Wolverhampton Music Service. Thank you.